Welcome, low ego action heroes. This is Debbie Levitt from DeltaCX.com. We're a full service CX and UX agency, and it is time for our latest stream, which today will be micro lessons about personas. Now, if you've been following along with our micro lessons series in the last month, I've been taking a look at some fake observational research. Some has gone better than others, but it was all there for you to practice your note taking. And today we're going to take the next step with it. Of course, we haven't been doing complete pieces at each moment, but you can check the micro lessons playlist and follow along, starting with where we planned our fake observational research. So last week we did most of a task analysis and some of an optimized task flow. We didn't finish it, but the point here is for me to show you a little bit of my style in doing these things, since my style may be different from other people's. So today I wanted to take a look at personas, hypothetically, for the fake research project to see, do we need personas? Do we think we have enough information for personas? If we don't have enough information for personas, what information are we missing? So this is where I want everybody in the chat room to join in. This is going to be another collaborative session, as many of the micro lessons are. And the idea is for us to kind of talk this through. Now, for those of you who are a little bit newer to CX and UX, personas are usually a set of archetypes. Now, again, this is not a curriculum that I have. I'm riffing this, so you can always Google it and fact check me. But personas are a set of archetypes, usually 6 or fewer, where we try to bring together some of the traits, qualities, tasks, motivators, fears, goals, objectives that we heard from the people we researched with, so that we can say, aha, here are our target buckets. This is who the sweet spot for our company or product line or product or whatever it might be is. And very often you might find that the personas could be broad. I did a set of personas once for a nonprofit credit counseling service, and we had, I think it was 3 personas who needed credit counseling because they had messed up their credit, 1 persona who wanted credit counseling because they hadn't messed it up yet, but they wanted to learn how not to mess it up. We had 1 bank worker who wanted to connect their struggling clients with the credit counseling service. And we had 1 donor, because this was a nonprofit service, and so they were really hoping to attract donors and donations, which means they were a persona because they are, in a sense, part of the target audience. Some of the website has to be written for donors and things like that. Now, when we think about the fake project that we're doing now, I have to ask myself, do we need personas? So we did a project on the channel where we watched 8 people who we pretended were not specifically recruited to not be customers of our fake company. And the fake company was Kitchen Thingies, where we make appliances and we make some digital products for home cooks. And we watched 8 people cook a dish. Now, the mistake I made was thinking that you should see some different people do different things to practice your note-taking, was that now it means that they didn't line up very well for a task analysis because they didn't do the same task. They each cooked something different. I should have had everyone cook the same thing so we could have seen the same task done differently, but I messed it up. So though half the task analysis looks good and half of it kind of doesn't work. But do we feel like we have personas? Do we feel like we can narrow down some of what we've learned into 1 or more archetypes of who this company might want to create an appliance or a product for? And Kayleen says, can you talk a bit more about how you were able to create those credit personas? I remember you saying they didn't give you much data to work with, so how were you able to make the personas? Mostly in that case, I was able to learn the stories of target customers, and again, to learn about their fears, motivations, tasks, objectives, goals. I didn't get to watch them, so I couldn't do a real task analysis, but I did get to talk to, and this is a reality, many of you working in UX know sometimes you're not allowed to talk to customers. You can't talk to the real customers, sometimes for terrible reasons, like we don't want you to, or that's for engineers to do. What? And sometimes for other reasons. And in my case, because it was credit counseling and because the information was very sensitive, they didn't want me to talk to anybody for privacy reasons. So I mostly interviewed customer service people who are usually as close as you can get to customers without talking to customers. So that means they hear similar stories, problems, motivations, fears over and over, and they can tend to group those. Now, again, you still have to put on your detective hat because even good, talented customer service workers might add their own bias, their own filters, their own lenses, their own interpretations. So you have to be able to cut through that a bit, which should come with time and practice. So if you're new to UX, that might feel like, how am I going to know? And all I can say is when you get some years in and you've practiced this, you just kind of know. You know, how does a detective do what they do? After practice, they just kind of know. So I don't have a great concrete answer for you. I can't say, oh, yes, I heard this. So mostly it was listening to the different stories about the types of customers and just noticing where the types naturally fell. And I just noticed from hearing different stories from different customer support people and some vice presidents that there seemed to be people who got into credit trouble wholly by mistake. They just fell into a hole really just quite I don't want to say forgetfully, but it just a tiny bit of debt turned into a little bit more debt, turned into, well, I'll help my adult child out, to, well, I'll do this, and it just mountained into debt, and then they couldn't catch up with it. So there seemed to be people who ended up in credit issues that way. And they had their own. So I'm looking for, where do people have different needs, motivations, tasks, habits, goals. So I found that the person who had who fell into it somewhat by mistake, but generally had a good job and meant to do the right things, seemed to have some different goals and fears and tasks than another persona we made, which was the person who just kind of enjoyed overspending on their credit cards, which we know it can be common. Hi, Shannon. So that person was a little bit different. They still had credit problems. They were still in some trouble, but their perception of their problems was different. The outcomes of the problems were different. Some of their motivations and fears were different. So that's where we started drawing some of the lines there. And I say we, but I guess it's really me. So let me see why we're not getting Shannon's floaty smiley face here. We'll try to reload. Here it comes. It's way down there. And then there was the elderly person who's the target of scams. They don't even know what kind of credit trouble they're in. They only know they keep getting all these weird phone calls and letters saying you owe us money, and they don't know what's real and what's not, and they need some advice and help. Hello, Alok. So that would be an example of that. So Kayleen says, are we in Mural today? I might show Mural, but I'm not necessarily inviting people to Mural, because first I want to have a collaborative discussion with all of you about, do we see personas here? Because not every project demands personas. Not every project requires personas. Sometimes our company has a perfectly good set of personas that are relatively recent and make sense and work, and we don't have to build personas. So the first thing I want to say is, not every project requires that you create personas. Some people who have taken online courses or gone through a boot camp think every time I run a survey or do some research, I'd better come up with a set of personas. And that's not the case. I've definitely done projects where personas were just not on the menu because they already had them, or felt for whatever reason they didn't need them. Usually they have them. So I'm going to flip over to our Mural boards. We're just going to poke around a little bit, and we're going to remind ourselves of some of the things that we learned, and we're going to see, do we think we've got personas here? Because if we don't, that's totally okay. Do not feel like you have to force personas. So, are you seeing my screen now? Yes? Okay, should be my screen and me and the tip jar and the chat room. So this was our original affinity diagram of some of the key things we heard while interviewing people and while watching them. So again, the question is, do we see different motivations, different goals, different tasks where maybe we need to break up personas? Not different tasks like these people cooked eggs and these people cooked pasta, but do we see some sort of division? Now, again, very often I find that the division is effort. But as you hear from my example story about the credit counseling people, I didn't break up those personas by effort. I broke them up a little bit more by what their situation was, how they perceived their own situation, what their goals might be, and what it might take to get them out of their situation. So, Shannon says things are lagging, maybe my end. I don't know. Let's do a timing experiment. I will put up a you will all tell me when you see me hold up my phone. That's all you have to do. Type something in the chat room when you see me holding up my phone. 1, 2, 3, now. Type in the chat room. So let's see what the lag is today, and then we'll get going, even if the lag is a little bit long. Sometimes LinkedIn is 2 minutes, and usually YouTube see when people type in the chat room and say that they are seeing my stuff. So we'll do it live and we'll learn. But even though we are taking a look at this, remember, don't force personas. If they're not here, you don't have to make them. So let's see if you are looking at this and thinking back to the fake observational research and interviews that we did, and can you think of any way that the people we met could be divided up by motivation, effort, fears, anything like that? So I'll wait to hear it from you. My counter is now over a minute, so you are right. This is definitely a longer lag than we usually get on YouTube. I am not totally sure why, and of course, I don't control streaming, so I don't have a great way to fix it. This may be not as collaborative as I was hoping because of this. Maybe if some of you want to go into Slack and try to send some Slack messages, not private messages, but maybe start a thread in the live events room and maybe do that, because I'm at 1:40 and none of you have told me that you see my timer. So this is definitely slow. I apologize. I apologize. This is out of my control. Let me try going back to my system and see if there's anything I can see. But again, we'll do our best to come up with this. And again, just start typing into the chat room if there's anything that you see that you believe would help us divide up personas. Kayleen says she sees my phone. That was about 2 minutes. So yes, that is unfortunate, and that gives you an idea of what LinkedIn used to look like. Let's see. I'm checking my stream now, and I'm looking for anything that would cause the lag, and I'm not seeing a tremendous lag on my end, so this just might be something out in the interwebs that I can't control. So I apologize to everybody that this will be a little bit less collaborative than some of our other adventures together. We can always try to reschedule this one and hope that the internet is kinder to us. Or I can stop the stream and restart the stream and see if we get better luck with YouTube being faster, because I can't control this. And I can wait for your answer, but it's coming in 2 minutes. So that's where this gets weird. Yeah, based on the system, based on what I'm seeing, you should all be delayed the usual amount. I don't know how to fix this. So let's go into Slack and let's ask everybody. What we should do. What should we do about the slow stream? Shannon is typing. Yeah, so again, the options are I can stop the stream, end it, start a new one. And Shannon says, not sure. Yeah, so I'm not sure either. Restart. I can try restarting. This will completely end and then it will start again. So I guess let's try it. Okay, I'm ending this stream. For those of you who are watching the future archive of this, there will be a part 2, and I hope you will join us there. Hopefully that stream will go better. So thank you, and see you in the part 2.